Welcome once again to Beginner's Fab. Today we'll be making tie-down hooks. Hey, and welcome back to Beginner's Fab. My name is Eric McGrew, and today I'm here with a trailer that I actually built a while back. It's for use here in the farm where the neighbor lives. And what they've asked from me now is to put 4 hooks on the corners, one here, one there, and then 2 at the front, so that they can tie down this nylon that they keep over it to keep the hay dry when they have it parked out in the field, to be able to have quick access to different bales of hay and be able to feed the animals in the winter when the grass isn't growing enough. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to show you how I'm making these hooks, because I hadn't planned on doing this job. I haven't gone and bought specific materials for it. The materials I'm using are 8mm solid rod, and I don't really have a good way of bending it because I don't have any heating torches or anything with me right now. So what I'm going to do is just show you how I'm doing it, and honestly, these aren't going to look the greatest, but for the use that this trailer gets, it's going to be more than sufficient. I am going to go ahead and reinforce them a little bit, because knowing how things from the farms are, one day they'll cut down a tree and they'll want to carry logs or whatever in this thing. And because the hooks are there, they're going to say, well, let's use the hooks. And they're going to try to strap it on. And if I don't make them tough, it's going to rip the hooks off and I'll be back fixing it again. So just to avoid some of that, I'm going to make sure that I do a little bit more beefy of a hook. It's not going to be extremely beefy. This tube is 090 wall, and it's 3x3 tube. So what I'm doing is, like I said, I'm using the 8mm rod for the hooks themselves, and then I'm actually going to mount them on a plate that's 120 wall and weld that plate to this tubing. And for most uses, that should be good enough. If they rip that off, well, they're definitely paying me to redo a new one. So that's what I'll be doing at the moment, and that's what I'll be showing you how I'm making these hooks now. So here you'll see that I have a couple of pieces of 8mm bar that I've cut at an angle with the angle grinder. They're about 6 inches long each, or I think really 4 inches long each in the end. I cut them as close to a 45 as I could get them. I put them on this piece of plate stock so that I could check the angle on them, which was good enough. I noticed that it needed to fit a little bit tighter, so I went ahead and started grinding it with a flap wheel just to make that angle as close to a 45 as possible. And then I went around and started cleaning off the edge of the point where I was going to weld, just because I had cut these out a day before and the round stock had been sitting on the ground for a while, and I wanted to make sure that it was clean. Now here I have the clamp of the welder holding one portion of the tie down hook clamped to the flat stock or the flat plate, and then I was just using my other hand to hold it in place. Then I tack welded the 2 pieces together, and on this side here I'm starting to do a full-on weld that will continue all the way around. Here I had a little bit of issue starting because of the angle that it came into. The electrode was trying to stick to both pieces at the same time. So I just welded on top, and then I welded the point of the hook. And then I went back, welded the other side, and now I'm welding the inside as well, just to give it as much overall strength as possible. These hooks, as I mentioned, will be used for heavy stuff as well, even though they said they wouldn't. I know the kind of work that they do on the farm. So I went back and I'm using a flap disc. I think I was using like 36 grit on the flap disc to take off all the extra slag and all the roughness of the weld to smooth it all out. That's why I welded all the way around, including in the V-notch. And this way, when they use nylon strap or webbing on it, or they use a rope on it, the rope won't be torn, or the nylon strapping won't be torn by the BBs or by the actual weld itself. Since I'm using 1/8 inch electrodes that are 6011. And then here you can see how I mounted it to the cart with some plate and you can see it on the back side close to the camera and in the front. And here you can see an up close version of it, and once again you'll see that those hooks were mounted to an 1/8 inch plate.